Hey guys, and welcome to today's episode of Candidly CREW. I'm your host, Chesley White.
And I'm Mareena Register.
How you doing today?
Doing good. It's a busy week for me. It's deadline week.
Oh man, that's rough.
Yeah, it's been good.
Is that why we were both eating Chick-fil-A in the car right before walking?
It is indeed why we both drove up and were eating Chick-fil-A in our car before we came in to film the podcast.
It was pretty funny. That was like, they're shoving food in my mouth, like,
as
drinking
soon as
my drink.
I saw the
and
cup,
then you're just
the cup with the red straw, I was like, I know exactly what she's doing. Which one did you go to?
Lawrence Road.
Okay, I was also there. We must have been at the drive-thru at about the same time. So.
Awesome. Love it. I love that we're basically the same person.
Yes. So we're super pumped for the interview today. It was Jayne McCall, who's the VP of Hughes Development.
Yes, that's right. We have an amazing interview for you today. Like, I really enjoyed this one. I don't know what you thought. I mean, one thing I felt like I really took away from it was that Jayne is just a lifetime learner. Like, she is just always looking to learn something new and kind of have a broadened perspective that thing that she's going to learn is going to help her do whatever she needs to.
Yeah, I feel like it was so interesting to hear perspective on how she looked at her work and the things that she thought of as exciting opportunities instead of just like the next project. And I also, and I think you did too, just took away like how much she cares about people and how much of herself she puts into her projects, which I think is an amazing part of real estate, is that people can do that.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And so like Mareena said, Jayne McCall is VP of Hughes Development, and she also, we want to mention, has won recently the CREW Career Advancement for Women Award and the Greenville Journal Real Estate Women's of Influence list. So pretty amazing career. Now she's retired, which we talk about a little bit too. So anyway, we're super excited for you guys to listen to this podcast. So let's bring her in.
All right.
All right. Well, Jayne, thanks so much for being with us today. How are you doing?
I am very good, thank you.
Awesome. Well, we are really excited to talk to you today about your story and about your career and what you're up to now. It sounds like a lot of fun. So why don't we start from the beginning? How did you get started in commercial real estate, or your first job maybe out of college?
Let's see. So we have to back up to Columbia.
Okay.
When I finished South Carolina, we lived in Columbia for about 12 years. So I worked for a large property and casualty insurance company. I was the assistant personnel director, and so I was doing that for a number of years. And then we ended up moving to Greenville. Coming to Greenville and looking for a job, it happened to be one of those low market times. Yeah. And so in doing a lot of out and about, I love Furman University. My oldest sister graduated from Furman. And I thought, live in Greenville, work at Furman, this would be fun. And so I applied, and they didn't have anything, but they needed people to just fill in. So I was jumping from athletics to religion to history to I ended up then in my longest position was with at that time it was called the Furman Clemson MBA program, and I worked for Dr. Belote, who was the head of the program. He happened to be on the board of Hughes, at that time Hughes Real Estate.
Okay.
And he was on the board that Mr. Hughes had set up that he did annually in December. And he brought in professionals, executives, and those people who had high levels of knowledge, brought them in and talked about his business and what's going forward and where things are in, economically in the markets and all of these kinds of things. And during that visit, it came up that he needed to hire someone because the office manager in his office was pregnant. And Dr. Belote said, I got your person. I was interviewed and hired, and that was January 17th, 1983.
Wow.
And 38 years later, I walked back out.
That is amazing. Yeah, you don't hear that happening much nowadays. 38 years is a long time. So what did that first position look like?
The first position was, of course, beginning to learn what commercial real estate was all about. Mm-hmm. And I was sort of beginning to take charge of the office environment, which consisted of 2 other people besides me, the accountant and a part-time secretary. The Hughes, which was at that time, of course, Red Hughes, Mr. Hughes, and the sons, Bob and Phil. So I worked for all of them on the front end for a while. And so it was small, but a lot going on. And I was certainly interested and eager to begin to learn and do more than what was there. So I just began to pick up a few things and had a lot of support from the 3 of them to help me. And it just began to grow from there.
So what was your degree in college?
My degree was journalism.
Okay, interesting.
And something I had always had an interest in. But when I came out of college, there just wasn't.
Yeah.
It was one of those times there wasn't a wide open market. Mm-hmm. I wasn't sure how I planned to use it, but I knew public relations was a piece of it that was very important to me and that I had focused on a lot. And in doing that, over the years of my career, I have felt that the public relations piece of my education was pretty pivotal in throughout my life. That I was always in front of other people, involved with other people, engaging with. So I felt like that piece of my education ended up being pretty vital. And helpful to me.
Yeah, I could see that.
Mm-hmm. I'm just interested. So you obviously came from Furman into the Hughes. Sounds like you were very much like kind of a self-starter. More like, I would like to do more. I'd like to take on more challenges. What did then your path look like from that of like, hey, this is what I'm doing now, but I have so many more things I could do, I think, to where you ended up before you retired?
And I want to piggyback on that question. Did you, while you were going through your career, did you think about that end goal of where you wanted to be? Or were you just like, I'm going to do the best job that I can in this position right now and then see where that gets me?
I probably was a little of the let me see what I can learn.
Yeah.
Let me see how far I can go. And the opportunities just began along the way to sort of come to me. But I knew that I wanted to do a very good job. I'm a self-starter, a pretty hard worker. I have a strong focus, and so there was never anything in my mind that there's something here I can't do. I just need to learn how to do it. I need to prove myself, and everything that I'm taught or shown, I need to take it to heart. I remember that going to the library and checking out books on putting down asphalt, because that was a part of the job.
Because you're managing projects, right?
At this time, I'm managing the property.
Okay.
I'm managing the properties, the landlords, and so there's that. And not only that, I was also kind of overseeing maintenance, where things have changed over the years. But when there was a roof leak or a pothole, these things were called to me, and I had to get them addressed. And so I thought, well, I need to learn about asphalt. This seems like something I know absolutely nothing about, so I'll just go check out books.
So that was what Google was before, because now I always think, I should know more about that. I'll Google it.
Exactly. Where was it when I needed it?
Yeah.
Instead of bringing home stacks of books.
That's right. Would have saved you a trip to the library.
But yours is a much better story, I will say that.
Yeah.
So I began to take on a little of everything, because we were small, but we had a lot to get done. I was property managing and kind of trying to lead the office of everything that needed to be done there. and the maintenance. I helped in the accounting when there were some needs there. So I was working in a little of the financial focus of the company as well. So being a small group at that time, and it's a family-owned business, and so you had this chance to touch everything.
Yeah.
And that's what I felt that I did. And I loved it. To get out. And then they would take me with them on job sites. And I climbed an outside ladder on an old Winn-Dixie in a skirt. That we were going up to check something on a roof. And it was an outside ladder, and I thought, I'll come up last. Then I'll go down first.
That's right. Just make it work.
There were just little things like that in my career that just stick with you. I've been on a lot of roofs.
So now do you know about asphalt paving and roofing like to the nth degree?
Yes. So I just began to take in as much as they'd let me have.
And I'm sure they were excited too about having someone that was so eager to learn and help, be of use, like, help out wherever you could.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
We'll ask them on the next one.
I hope so. But it was meaningful to me and important. And that's kind of the way I've had my career.
Yeah. So from when you started to when you retired, what was the growth in the company, like number of employees?
So I told you when I went there were 9. That was 3 outside facilities personnel, the 3 women in the office, and the owners.
Okay.
And so when I left, I think there were about 19.
Okay.
And so it's, the dynamics of how these things work are very different now than the way that I did them growing up. And that's, I will tell you, that's one thing I think I had a little problem along the way is turning loose. Letting go of things. And because I felt like I should do it because I know what to do and I it needs to get done. And so it'll be just easier if I just take this on myself and get it done. So turning
I think
loose,
a lot of us struggle with that.
Yeah, turning loose along the way was one of those things I had to really learn.
Did you ever do it once and it went amazingly and you're like, oh, wow, I should do that more often?
Of course. Of course. And that's when you feel like that what you've done within the office with others is supports what you've been trying to do. Yeah. I have very, very good friends in the office and people I cared a great deal about, that I wanted to see them thrive and grow and succeed. And so these... I wanted to sort of nurture them along and help them learn as much as they could to do well.
I think I've had to have, so I'm a manager at a CPA firm, so I have staff and seniors behind me, but I was a staff at one point. I was a senior at one point. And it's so hard, like you're saying, to let things go and let other people take them because you're like, okay, well, I'll do it best, right? But how do they become a senior? Or how do they become a manager unless I let things go? And I had someone give me really great advice, one of my mentors in the company, and she told me, she's like, Mareena, you have to do the things that only you can do. Because if you do the things that you can do, then you'll do so much. But if you do only the things that only you can do, then you're leaving a way for other people to learn more things. And that was just
that's a very good
something I think
it's a
about
very
all the
good
time.
Piece of advice to use for yourself going forward and others as they grow along the way.
Yeah, I like that.
It's one of those things I have to think of all the time. I'll be sitting at my desk and I'm like, do only the things that you can do. So it's still hard to give things up, but it's one of those things to realize that other people are growing the same way that you got to grow because you were able to do more and more things and take on more and more things, I think was good. So what was the most challenging part of your job? And what did you feel like was the most rewarding?
That's going to cover a lot of territory.
Well,
Let's get into it.
That will cover a lot of territory. Challenging, it kind of folds into a challenge versus the opportunities because each opportunity had its challenges. And so challenges would be sometimes maybe just getting what you needed when you needed it. Certainly in project managing, construction management, you found that a lot of those, there are plenty of opportunities in that, but there are a lot of, kind of sometimes headbutting pieces because of what you need and how you're going to get it, and others aren't moving at the same pace that you are. So that can be challenges in situations like that. Challenges within the office was probably just because I kind of always kept this oversight of everything in the office. I just felt like that that was helpful to the company to do that. And so I know I've jumped around a little bit, but that people would come to me because I was an open door person, and I always felt like I should stop what I'm doing to talk to people. When they came to see me, they needed something, so I should stop what I'm doing unless it is really a situation that I have to ask them to wait a few minutes. But to take on what their situation was and hope that what they've brought to me, that I'm going to be able to give them the right answer or help them figure out how to go get answers, and then let's bring it back to me and let's talk about it. So sometimes those would be challenges because you're trying to help people grow through sharing information that but you need them to also step out and take this information and go do the research, go do the running down and bring it back, and then let's see if we've got it pulled together. Back to challenges within construction management is simply sometimes it's the other party.
Yes.
It's the other party of trying to get them to the table and get answers. Or I had a job, one of the jobs that I had one time, 2 times during that project, I went and said, I'm shutting it down. I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but if you cannot get me what I need, I will go shut it down right now. So getting the other party sometimes in challenge could be very challenging situations. But I will say that was rare. For the most part, I had great people that I was able to do build out or ground up or from inside dirt up, people that I worked with. That was probably the most exciting part of my career.
Just getting to work with all the different people?
Getting to do that.
Yeah.
Because I think it took confidence in me by them to let me do that. And I have certainly always asked questions when needed and got the answers I needed so I could move things forward. But in the end, I was just given the chance to just do it. And I only went when I really had a roadblock that I needed the owner to kind of help me move this roadblock out of the way. So that all of the construction pieces, tenant improvements, as I said, building from ground up, those things are they were just kind of priceless in my life because some of them have so much meaning to me. And I worked so hard to do a good job to get those brought to completion, and always wanted to be on time and under budget.
Yep. Don't we all?
Yes, for sure.
It sounds like to me, I'm just trying to kind of sum up that it sounds like in such a great way, instead of thinking of your job as like, okay, well, I get up and I do this and it's fine and I'm doing all the things I can. You're saying, wow, look at all these opportunities I'm getting to learn, to grow, to challenge myself, and using that to propel yourself forward. So it sounds like your job felt like more than a job. It felt more like this really great growth opportunity for you.
It was. From where I would have started back in, let's say, the very early 90s, when I probably did the first build out with the architect and the contractor and so forth of a number of tenant spaces in an office, in a medical office building, to then doing ground up. At that time, I wasn't completely sure what I was doing, but I did find that over the years that general contractors, for the most part, and architects are very good to help you and to help walk, also to be a partner with you, because they were working for our company.
Yeah.
And I'm representing the company. So
right.
I have had the opportunity to have outstanding relationships over the years with general contractors and who've become my friends.
Yeah. Did that take some humility at the beginning to say, like, hey, I'm either like new to this or I'm coming into this? You know, did it feel like that, or was it like, oh, wow, we're all on a team together, we're working together? Or was it like, oh, I have to go ask them because I don't know kind of feeling?
I had to ask. There are just times when in a construction project, you don't want to make a mistake.
Yeah.
No.
And so it's better to just put on your question face and go ask the question. Honestly, whether it was even the outside people, the contractors working under the GC or the architect or to the owner, I can't make a mistake that can really be an issue in the future. Yeah. So it would have been very remiss to think that I had all the answers. That would have been time to let me go if I'd felt that I could do this without anybody else.
Well, I feel like that's I think everyone should have that kind of attitude of questioning and curiosity and understanding that, because I know in my job, there's times that I'm like, I know a lot. And then there are times I'm like, I don't know anything. All I know is I know who to ask the question to, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's part of like getting older, is just realizing like, okay, well, I might not know the answer, but at least I know the person that I need to ask that question to.
Yeah, and it's not the end of the world if you don't know the answer. I mean, it kind of builds camaraderie within your team. It's like, okay, you're bringing this expertise to the table and I'm bringing this expertise, and as a team, we're going to build the best building, or, you know, do whatever the product that you're making or the project you're working on is at the time. I love the team approach because of that.
Yeah. I would say my first year at my job, I was so bad at asking questions because I was scared, because I thought I was supposed to know everything. And once I realized that I didn't have to know everything, that's when I actually started getting better at my job.
And I think that's a very good thing to say, because you don't know it all. You can't know it all. Yeah. I don't know how many times I said over the years that I learn something new every day. Mm-hmm. if you don't open your mind in your job to learn, there's something every day that didn't happen the day before. And just as the same in your jobs, you can have in mind what you think you're going to do that morning, that you think you're going to get accomplished and get something off your desk or off your list. It's not going to happen. So you need to be, ready to regroup, but also, as you said, that you do what you can. But just do a good job of it.
Yes. Sounds good.
Yeah. So 38 years is a long time within one company. Tell me about the staying power of that, what kept you there, or, did you ever question, am I in the right field? Like, what were your thoughts about that issue or topic? It's not an issue.
Once I began to get my feet on the ground, and that didn't just happen. That took a while. Yeah. But then being given opportunities to do other things, I just wanted more. I wanted the chance to do more, and I would take on. I wouldn't ask sometimes. I'd just do it. And because we had architectural review committees, and residential was a part of the company, but not like the commercial development. But somebody had to focus on those things as well. And I thought, I can do this. I'll just take it on. And then I'll just get it all put together. I'll get all the answers, and then I can just take it to them. And because I wasn't the committee, they were the committee. But I enjoyed that because it was something else new. I'd never worked with house plans. I'd never gotten involved in processes that had anything to do with subdivisions, and to get to help develop one of those subdivisions from the ground, the infrastructure was just totally interesting. And it was something I thought, okay, when are we going to do the next one? What's the next thing to be done? It's just like building out a tenant space. That was just so exciting to me. I so enjoyed Earl Galden, who is retired and has been for a while, but he was Craig Galden and Davis. So he is one of those gentlemen in my life that I'll always remember. And he and I had this great working relationship because he did a lot of the medical office park architectural work. And so I would just plop my little self over to his office, and we'd sit in the big conference room. And that was back when people actually still also used paper and pencil. That he would just sketch. I would tell him I met with this tenant, here's what a doctor's office needs. And we would just sit there and we'd work together. And it was fine for me to ask him questions or make suggestions to him and work together and then take these things back. So these processes to get to see a tenant's office come together and then get the contractor and then get started on it. These things were, I was always just so excited to do it, and especially when it was all finished.
Oh yeah,
and
that's
you saw
the best
them,
part.
And you saw them then start occupying spaces. Someday I'm going to try to count the projects that I did, and I haven't done it, but I know it's a lot.
I would love to hear that number whenever you figure that out. That would be fascinating.
But I've built out spaces and ripped them back out again and built out another space. I built grocery stores and tore that one down and built another grocery store. I tore down Kmart shopping center and built a shopping center. That was out of state. So they just gave me the empowerment that I needed to go do these things.
Yeah.
And what made them feel that she's confident enough to do it, I don't know where the mindset was, but they gave it to me.
I think this is me projecting, but, it seems like you're a lifetime learner and you're very curious. And so to have that new opportunities presented all the time of different project types, whether it's like tenant upfit or ground up, it's new challenges, and you loving learning like that and always being up to the challenge. I mean, that's, as a business owner, to have that type of personality on your team, like, I think that's key. Like, it's just like, she can handle it. Yeah, let's, let her do this next one. So that's so cool. On that note, what is you've done a lot of projects over the years, a lot of different types. What would you say is your favorite if you had to pick one?
I have to give 3.
Okay.
That's perfect.
3's okay.
I have to give 3 because those were the last 3 I did in terms of ground up projects.
Okay.
In between, I was doing some build outs. I had a ground up project and 3 build outs in Greenville, ground up in Columbia, and 3 build outs in Greenville going at the same time. I wasn't sure whether I was coming or going there for a few times. But I have to tell you that my heart-filling one was to do the Veterans Administration outpatient clinic on Grove Road.
Okay.
They had been in their old location for 25 years. And I was working for Hughes when we talked with them about doing the building 25 years ago.
Awesome.
So that building, they needed to move. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to be the construction manager for that. And because I have strong military in my family, a brother-in-law, my son-in-law who was deployed in Iraq, my son who has now been in the military for 20 plus years and was also deployed 2 different times at the beginning of the Iraqi war and then serving another time during that. To be able to be a part of that military facility, I said military, I'm sorry. I meant the veterans facility to serve military members was probably the highlight of my life. To be able to do that, to walk in that building and see the replicas of military medals, if you've never been in it, hanging from the ceilings in its half circle front of the building, and knowing that we had just finished a first-class project that was going to give these men and women an opportunity for better health care, a wonderful place to be. And so that truly was a special piece for me. The second one would be the Clemson University School of Nursing. I'm a graduate of the University of South Carolina. So you can imagine that this was a little different for me. Yeah. But as it turned out, because the need in the community and the strong medical community that we have in Greenville, this was offering right on the Prisma Health campus, which is where this was built. And it happened to be right beside, with a drive between, the University of South Carolina School of Medicine.
There you go. There's your connection.
So we ended up doing a walkway over that drive that went between them, which joined the med school and the nursing school, which was the first of its kind in the country, not realizing that when we went into this, but to offer this fabulous first-class medical facility for students to grow and learn and then grow their careers in the nursing fields. It's very gratifying to have been a part of that. And the last one is fills my heart, not only with sadness, but with gratitude that I got to do it. And that is in Columbia, the Bull Street District. The first retailer was REI, and I was asked to do the construction management for the REI, which was great. And I enjoyed it, a new contractor and, making the trips there and getting that done. And it is a fabulous store location. But the piece of it that's important to me is the family connection that Bull Street has to my family. My grandfather was there in the hospital. He had had a massive stroke, and this was very long ago, and when my grandmother could not keep him at home, and there weren't facilities like there are now where you could take someone. So my grandfather was there, and I visited him with my mother and my grandmother several times, and I remembered exactly where we sat. I remembered exactly where he was and where this shed, sort of picnic area where we would visit. And he died there. So the family connection to Bull Street, to have gotten to do this one project there, was very filled my heart that I was able to do that. I knew exactly which building it was in because when they started tearing them down, taking them down, I got bricks from it.
Oh, wow.
And gave those as gifts with plaques to family.
Wow, that's pretty special.
To honor my grandfather.
Yeah.
Who was there.
Wow.
So those were the last 3 ground-up projects that I did. And each one, in its own way, was a piece of me that I felt I had an investment in this for myself.
Yeah.
And so those were probably, hands down, those 3 projects were the highlight.
Yeah, what a way to end your career.
Of my career.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing those with us. I feel like there's so much more meaning to that than just, I built a building and I really liked the building. So I really appreciate you sharing
Thank you.
The stories behind those.
Yeah.
So as we move out of your amazing career and kind of look at retirement, what was that transition like? What was the decision? Like, was it an easy decision to make, hard to make? And, how have you felt coming into retirement?
I thought I was going to retire sooner than I did by 2 or 3 years. I had sort of thought that. And then these projects, I kept being given these opportunities. And I couldn't think about retiring. I had work to do. And so I was going to be 70 last October. And I just decided that, wow, it looks like you're going to be hung out until you're 70 years old. So I decided that at that point, of course, COVID had hit and things were in a different place at that time with tenants and operations and people, skeleton crews, and so on and so forth, how everyone's lives took a different turn. And I just felt that it was my time, that I really wanted to spend more time with my family, that there was nothing more important to me. There is nothing more important to me than the opportunities to spend time with my family. As I shared with you that I've just come back from Germany, where I hadn't seen those 3 grandchildren, my son and daughter-in-law, in 2 years. So getting to do that, and I've spent this year since I retired, it took a couple of months, honestly, to begin to sort of feel like you're not getting up tomorrow morning and dressing and going to work. I still dream about work. I worry about work. I try to keep up with, the people I was very close to that I was trying to mentor along, because I want everything to be great for them. And so, I dream about it. I think about it still, but it's less than it was.
That's good.
But I have forgotten all of the dreams that I have had over I am fixing things. I see things that are wrong, and I am fixing things in my dreams, which I guess, fortunately, I don't have to do that anymore. But I'm very happy to be retired. I have spent a lot of time with my sisters, and I had the opportunity to go to golf matches all last spring with the oldest grandson, which I wouldn't have been able to do.
Oh, yeah.
And the cross country with my other grandson here. So those are the things in life I wanted. I wanted the opportunities to be able to share time with my family. And also in the midst of all of that is the fact that I've gotten to go to Edisto now. I got it coming up in a couple of weeks, about 6 times this year.
That's amazing.
So
that feels right for
the fact
retirement.
that I've gone to Edisto every opportunity that's come about.
Do you guys have a place down there?
I have a timeshare.
Okay.
And so do the sisters. So we have a number of weeks.
Yeah.
And
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I guess I shouldn't be concerned about it because I have a while to go for retirement. But, we work so hard and we're so involved and we put our souls into what we're doing every day, and it kind of becomes part of our identity. I worry that whenever I get to that point that all of a sudden I'm going to be like, what do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
And yes, family is super important, and then that gives you the freedom to be able to go see them more often. But I'm worried that I'm going to be the same way, like dreaming about work and like feeling like I have to get up, at 7 a.m. when I don't, and things like that. So it's interesting to hear you say that it doesn't go away initially, but it does get better.
One of my very close friends at work retired right after I did. And so for probably the first month, we called each other almost every day, about 7 o'clock in the morning, maybe a little before, and say, "Are you awake? Are you getting ready? Are you getting dressed to go to work? You're not going to be late today, are you?"
Right.
So yeah, that was. We're good friends.
That's awesome that you have someone to bounce those thoughts off of.
But I got to tell you, I mean, I think it's a lot. Just like people say, I don't know how I worked, but now that I'm retired, how did I have time to work?
Yeah, my parents say that.
Well, I do what I want to do when I want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I joined the Y in Travelers Rest, and that's really important to me. And I got back in yoga classes, and I take German classes, and I'm on some boards, and I do some volunteer work, and I'm very involved in my church.
Yeah.
So I find things to do.
Yeah.
And I love working outside in the yard. So I'd much rather be outside than inside.
I agree. Yeah, I find like on the weekends for me, that's kind of like my restful time period, because like you spend so much time like working with your brain during the week and thinking through problems and stuff like that. To actually work with your hands is like a different set of, I guess, like activity to be doing, So it's like, I don't know, therapeutic almost.
Well, that's what you call it. You call it dirt therapy.
Dirt therapy. I love that.
You call it dirt therapy.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're also working on our golf therapy, too.
Yeah, we are. We're trying to be better at golf. So.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said to my grandson over the weekend, I said, "So when are you taking me to play golf?" He says, I'm going to beat you. And I said, that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
I said, it's when you get out of school one day, you tell me to meet you, and we're just going to play 9 holes. And many hours later, I'll finally be finished by 9 holes. And you're just hang out with me.
That's right. We'll have some great conversation. Maybe enjoy some drinks.
Yeah, exactly. Chesley and I play, and we try and play pretty regularly.
Oh, that's great.
And we take pictures of our scores, but only for us to beat ourselves.
Yes,
like, I'm never looking at her score. I'm only looking at mine to see if I've gotten better than my last time. So
all that to say, if you ever want to go play golf with us, we'll be more than.
Well, I've got to go with the grandson and work some.
Go first, and then and then hang out with us.
And then maybe y'all will let me join.
Okay, perfect.
We put this group together so that anyone at any level could come play with us.
Oh, that's perfect.
So I have a friend who has just now started taking lessons, and she's like, I feel really embarrassed to go golfing. I was like, do not feel embarrassed, because I'll still always mess up and have a bad day or a bad game. And I was like, what I've learned is that men play golf, and I always just assume that men are good at golf. And then I watch them play, and I was like, oh, everyone has bad days. Like, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not.
Not so much.
And sometimes I'll be good, and sometimes I won't. And it's totally fine. It's more about getting outside. You can never be mad after 2 to 4 hours outside driving around in a golf cart.
That is true.
It's just fun.
No, golf has never been one of those things that I've spent a lot of time on, but I've always enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And it's just about playing.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Yeah.
The score is sort of meaningless to me. It's just doing it.
Right.
Just doing it. And I feel like having that attitude, I can have way more fun playing golf than if I tried to be really intense. Because eventually you get to be a perfectionist with yourself, and it gets unfun. And so I've actually talked about it with my coach before. I'm like, let's not think about this, because I just want to play and have fun. So it's always a good time.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I do have a question about mentorship. Part of this podcast is kind of like a tag team, program along with it is we've got a mentorship program with CREW. How have mentors played a role in your career? Did you have a mentor throughout your career? Or?
I had some professional people through my career that never knew they were my mentors. Mm-hmm. But they were there. They just didn't realize that I would be referring to them now as mentors. Mm-hmm. Earl Galden would be one. Gay Sprague, traffic engineer, because we worked together many times, but we also had a friendship. But our friendship was what developed into what I would consider her mentoring me, and not even realizing that our relationship to me could have been some of that sometimes. Ted Teddards, who retired attorney in the beginning, Leatherwood Walker Todd Mann, now Fox Rothschild. And we worked together for years on leases and some pretty in-depth documents that needed to be done. And I learned so much interacting with Ted through the legal piece of things that I would put my legalese words together and send them to him. And more often than not, they would get tweaked and sent back to me to use. But his calmness and his kind focus, just like all three of these people, their kind focus and professionalism, yet friendship and assistance will always have meant something to me. Mm-hmm. My biggest mentor was Bob Hughes. And Bob brought me along and taught me just from the beginning the things that began to be important for real estate. I'm going to give you an example. This is one of those flashbacks to the difference in going to the library and Google. Okay, all the county records used to be catacombed to our little 304 North Church Street office. And so he knew I needed to learn how to go look things up. Deeds, plats, and, what grantors and grantees were, and all of these things that I needed to go how to find things. So he would take me over there, and we'd dig through these little drawers and look for things. Of course, it's all computerized now and online, and how to find plats, and then how to begin to read plats. And those simple things, probably for him on the front end, were so important to me through the entire career of working with drawings, working with plats, knowing how to research and look things up. And then, as I said, he turned me loose, let me go, felt confident I could do it, but knew that I wouldn't go any further than I could. And when the roadblock hit, I'd come back and ask for help. And we had a wonderful working relationship. But as a mentor, hands down, Bob's my mentor through my career. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you've had some amazing mentors, but it also sounds like from early in our conversation that you've tried to be that for other people. What were the characteristics of your mentors that you then tried to emulate in order to mentor people behind you?
By the way, I do have a mentee in the CREW program.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
awesome.
I am a mentor to one of the young ladies in CREW. And that's rewarding to even, I'm humbled to even be asked, but hope that along the way that I will be helpful to her.
I'm sure you will be.
Yeah.
But in terms of what I felt that I always provided was what some of these people gave me, professionalism. I always wanted to be a leader for those that I tried to help. I wanted them to know that I felt they were important. Just like these people, including Bob, made me feel important in what I was doing, that I always made employees feel important, that I had time for them, that I was willing to work with them to help solve a problem, go figure out where to look something up if they didn't. Some people on the front end don't even know where to go look up things.
Right.
So if you have to be willing to take baby steps. You were talking about that, from staff to now you have staff.
Yeah.
And so careers are baby steps. And if I didn't care about people, what would that matter? But I couldn't possibly not care about the people who worked. And to me, they didn't work for me. We worked together. We were a company of together people. And in order for accomplishments to take place or successes to come about, we had to pull together. And I just wanted to always be there for people. I wanted them to feel comfortable and confident that whatever it was, whatever they needed, that I was there. And I still try to do that.
Yeah.
To a few people at the office that I continue to support. Let's just continue to support them.
Yeah.
And want them to succeed.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, really, when we talk about the mentor program and CREW and how you're in it and you hope to be helpful, I think really a huge part of, I know all of my mentors that I feel the most strongly about is because I knew that they cared about me. And once you know that someone cares about you and wants you to succeed, then you have so much more ability to ask them for what you really want, or to, be confident enough when they give you like feedback to say like, hey, you should try this or do something different. You're not saying like, oh, you're attacking me, you don't like me. It's more like, oh, wow, I know that you care about me so much that you want to help push me even further than I would have gone before. So I think what you're emulating right now and the care that you have for people, that's going to come off amazing for anybody that you mentor. So
thank you.
We're very appreciative to have you in the program.
I would never want the other person to feel like that I've ever felt like, oh, I know it all, because I didn't.
Yeah.
But as I said to you, I always try to remind people that you learn every day. If you go a day and you didn't learn something, you missed an opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I value people who want to work hard and do well and succeed. But in doing so, they also want to be people of integrity and also look out for the other person too. And that's what I think makes good employees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a good company. I mean, I feel like, maybe part of the reason that you're like that is because you had that example set for you within the company. Maybe it's inherent in who you are, but it's also a good example. And like that environment, meshed together where everyone has the best like hope and interest for whatever everyone wants as the collective whole together. I mean, I think that's pretty amazing and unique. Not every company is like that. So
that's very true.
It's pretty amazing. So I do have to ask. So what's one piece of advice that you would give to someone looking to do something similar to what you did with your career? How would you tell them to get started, or what would you tell them?
For someone who thinks this is what they want to do, but they really don't have the direction, I think the first thing I would do is change the major from journalism. I think journalism worked for me, but I think I would be sending them in a business direction. And not only that, but then on into a master's program of real estate development. And that these educational opportunities would be very valuable to them. Not meaning they couldn't go ahead and start working in the industry somewhere, somehow, after getting their undergraduate, but I think this also helps build skills and knowledge base. You have to remember, I'm also one of those Earl Galden people. I was a paper and pencil person. I wrote. I sharpened pencils and wrote all the time. That's just the way it worked for me. I have notebooks full
Same
of.
here. Yeah. I don't use pencils because I just don't like them, but pens. Yeah.
There was another lady in the office, and she and I were the pencil people. After I left, one of the other young ladies thought, "Oh, is Jayne out there sharpening the pencil?" So I just I've lost track of my thought here when I got into the pencil piece, but
you're talking about the master's in real estate and getting experience.
So once you've got this formal education of knowledge also to support you, that I love commercial real estate. I love commercial real estate development. To pass by something or see something that I worked on is humbling and rewarding at the same time. Like, how did this little country girl from Walterboro, South Carolina, ever get to do this? And I feel blessed and honored and humbled.
Yeah. It's awesome.
I hope I answered your question.
You did. Yeah, you did.
So what's the best advice you've ever received?
I thought about this, and I have 2 examples.
Okay.
And I don't know that this is the direction you think I'm going to go.
I'm very excited now.
And at a place in my life, someone told me, don't take the advice of anyone else. You must be sure that the decision you make is yours. So there is no second guessing by you that you did not, with your heart, make the decision. That turned out to be very true and very accurate. The next piece of information was not advice, but it was a statement made to me in my prior job in Columbia. And it involved the conversation with the vice president that I worked for, and had something to do with company and people and so forth. And he said, well, Jayne, life isn't always fair. And I said, sir, that is not what I expected you to say to me today. I didn't come in here to hear that. That's not what I wanted to hear. But I have taken that statement, and it's true. Life isn't fair. But life is what you make of it. Your life is how you lead it, how you live it, how you show yourself to others, and what you do with your life. And so, as hurt as my feelings were that day, that it wasn't what I wanted to hear, I decided that it was an advice piece, unknowing to him, that I've used to be sort of a structure to myself of how I want my life to be.
I love that.
So,
yeah, it's all about how you respond.
So those are my advice stories of a sort.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, I think we probably should be wrapping things up, but Jayne, this has been awesome. Thank you again so much for talking with us. We've got our 5 rapid fire questions left, and then we're going to get out of here. So, are you ready?
Oh, I didn't know there was a rapid fire.
These are just fun.
Yeah, these are fun questions.
Okay.
Okay, number 1, what do you like to do for fun?
Oh, okay. All right. I like dirt therapy.
Yes.
You got to have dirt therapy in your life. I enjoy reading. Assorted things. I don't have anything in particular, but I enjoy reading. I enjoy traveling when I can. I enjoy Edisto Beach. This is where I've been all my life. I like my volunteer work that I do and the boards that I'm on. These are things I do that bring me joy.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And where's your favorite place to travel?
Well, in the United States, it's Edisto Beach.
Edisto Beach.
And out of the country, it's Stuttgart, Germany.
Those sound like amazing places.
Yes. It makes sense, the reasons why you love those places. So what is your favorite business-related book or favorite book in general if you don't have a favorite business book?
Well, I got to tell you, I haven't read one since I left work.
Fair enough.
I don't know that I would either.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm not sure that I can pinpoint something real quickly.
Do you have a favorite book in general?
Yeah.
I just have authors I like to read because, and honestly, to me, they're They're not business novel books or anything like that. But to me, they're spies and mysteries and things like that. So I have just authors that I like to read in series of some of them because I enjoy character.
Can you hit us with at least one favorite author?
Okay, David Baldacci.
David Baldacci.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we read some of his stuff
Daniel Silva are two I like a lot.
Those sound fun. Current TV show that you're binge watching?
I don't binge watch TV except I really am a Food Network junkie.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
But the ones I like to watch and try not to miss are those that are shows that are cooking competitions, like Top Chef or Master Chef or the things that are. I don't get too much excitement out of watching them carve the pumpkins, but I just like food competitions.
Yeah.
I like some of those 30-minute shows where these fabulous chefs are creating things.
Did you ever watch the MasterChef Junior?
Yes, I've watched that one too.
That is amazing that those kids can do that.
I know. It makes me feel so bad.
I know.
Did you see the one where the kid cooks a whole fish for his final thing? He packs it in salt. I was like, I've never even thought of doing that. He was 10.
Yeah.
And even these tiny children that do desserts.
Yeah.
And
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I just like Food Network, and then now I'm a college football junkie.
Oh, what's your favorite team?
I don't care who's playing.
Okay.
I'll watch college football up South Carolina, of course. It's my favorite team.
Okay.
But if it's at night and there's two teams out west playing, and I haven't gotten sleepy, I'll watch them play.
Oh, man, you and my husband both. I've got teams we care about, and I love watching those, but anything else, to be honest, it's just too much for me.
I don't know.
So.
Just one of those things. It only happens one time a year for so many weeks, and I just enjoy it.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. This is our favorite question, last and favorite. What is your favorite restaurant in Greenville, and what do you get from there?
Okay. Well, I was going to also give props to my little town of Travelers Rest.
Ooh.
You can do Travelers Rest. That's okay.
Everything in Travelers Rest is good.
It is awesome.
I enjoy those. A lot of them family-owned and run restaurants that I just like to support. And there isn't one in Travelers Rest that I haven't probably eaten at, some more than others, but anything that's on Main Street in Travelers Rest, I enjoy. As to Greenville, I really enjoy eating at Sassafras.
What do you get there?
Whatever fish that they're doing, their usual special fish, I enjoy very much. They have a crab nachos. And I love crab nachos. I like Sobeys because I like scallops, and they'll do very nice fish dishes. I don't eat steak, or it's rare that I eat beef. I enjoy Hall's if I can just go for lunch so that I don't have to make a decision about night. If I ate there at night, it would be salmon.
Okay.
So I like those three.
Yeah, good choices.
And in terms of just enjoyable places to go and food that's good.
Yeah. I love everything in Travelers Rest. I'm headed to Topsoil on Sunday because of their tasting menu. I love it so much.
Oh, wonderful.
So good. So
good.
It's a good Travelers
Yes,
Rest.
that's another good one.
Well, thank you so much for coming to join us today. We really appreciate you talking with us, and it was so fun to learn more about you.
Yeah, loved it.
You ladies are certainly exceptional in your own careers and going a long ways, and it's been a privilege for me to get to visit with you today. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I appreciate the opportunity.